Mai's power had brought them to the Tempest in an instant. In front of the labyrinth, Vega, Mai, Dino, Pico, and Gracia look at each other. It was for the final meeting. Listen, you have to follow my orders from here on out, Vega said to Dino in a brash tone. Dino felt antagonistic, but he had no right to veto the order. Vega, Dino, and the others were on the same level, but it was Vega who was in charge of the mission. Dino had no choice but to follow the plan, although he felt that he was in trouble. So, what is your plan? Dino asked Vega confidently. It's easy. We'll go in head on and knock them all out. That way you guys can get some experience, and I'll be stronger if I eat the stronger ones. Dino is disgusted to the core, thinking that this guy is an idiot. In other words, Vega himself is trying to become stronger by having Dino and the others take care of the do. It was a terrible strategy. So Dino said to him, Hey, don't be reckless. That labyrinth is impregnable. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses because we failed to conquer it, but it's really dangerous in there. He takes this opportunity to express his true feelings. Besides, even if they die in the labyrinth, they can come back to life as long as Rimuru is there. In other words, there's no end to the number of times you can defeat them, so it's absolutely impossible to conquer the labyrinth. Dino thinks to himself, this is impossible. Even when he was an ally before, he thought it was a bad idea, but now that he's an enemy, he understands the horror of this labyrinth better. So, Dino wants to just give the impression that he is just doing his job properly, and then quickly cut the game short. Pico and Gracia followed him. There are even opponents who can compete with me, you know. And since they won't die, it's like they're going to throw everything they've got at us, no matter the cost. Honestly, don't you think it's not about whether you can win or not? Pico said. That's right. The guy who fought me was as hard as a joke, patient, and had an indomitable fighting spirit. I don't want such a fierce fighter to come at me without fear of death. Gracia also seemed to be really displeased with the situation and spoke her mind quite bitterly. Pico and Gracia were not really serious either. So, if they tried to fight with their full strength, they might win easily. However, since they would still come back, Pico and Gracia would be the ones who would eventually run out of power. Knowing this, they really do not want to push themselves too hard. So, let's not do it because it's useless. From Dino's point of view, this was sincere advice. They did not want to attack the labyrinth again, but that was something they did not want to say. But it seems that Vega was even dumber than Dino thought. It's no problem. Even if they come back, it's only because I beat them. What? Just eat them. If they lose their body, they can't come back. Is that right? Dino wondered. No, the authority of Rimuru was supposed to control the soul. If so, even the body should be reproduced from the information of the protected soul. Vega stopped Dino, who was about to say that it was possible to revive them, with a laugh. Doesn't matter. Then so be it. I can take away the power of the person I've eaten, and even if they come back, I can easily beat them next time, can't I? Dino's irritation grew at Vega's easy words. So, the Labyrinth Guardians are real, they can't be defeated so easily. Dino was angry in his heart that he was told not to assume that he could win. This is why I hate ignorant people. No problem. If you guys are worried about it by yourselves, I'll create minions with evil dragon spawn production. As long as we have enough food for them, we can spawn 4 of them at the same time. Dino, wanting to take it easy, urged Vega to get his evil dragon spawn out of there as soon as possible. In response, Vega yelled at him. Shut up. There's no food for it, so just wait a little longer. Monsters who are supposed to be roaming around in the labyrinth were not seen today. There are some, but there are fewer than usual. They were just small fry without intelligence, and instead, there were more traps than usual. Dino is convinced that they have already figured out their strategy. It was as if they had held the strategy meeting in such a way that they could hear them, which made Dino feel relieved. However, it is no fun to be trapped as much as a fool. Dino is frustrated that he should be made to feel more comfortable. You have to be on your guard in this labyrinth because anything is possible. I know. I told you I'd invade the labyrinth, didn't I? Leave it to me to stall for time. As soon as the 5 of them entered the labyrinth, Vega's invasion of the labyrinth was underway. However, the results are not immediate. Of course not. The labyrinth of Rimuru is not organic, so the organic domination of evil Dragon King Ozzy Dahaka ultimate skill wouldn't work. There were people who were watching over the labyrinth attack team. Believing in the return of Rimuru, they were the Benimaru group, determined to protect the place where Rimuru would return. In the control room located at the lowest level of the labyrinth, there is a huge monitor on the wall in front of the center of the room. The monitor showed the situation of Vega and his group, and they could not see what they were doing. Benimaru was sitting on the chair usually used by Valdor. He was staring at the screen as if he was absorbed in it. Beside him, there was a chair for Rimuru, which was carefully fixed in the air. It was mini-sized but luxurious and even came with a desk. The control room was redecorated accordingly. Some of the devices were just flickering lights with meaningless decorations, but most of them were real. Various instruments are provided to keep track of everything that happens in the labyrinth. The trainee sisters were watching over them. Conversation. Switch over. Launch the next trap. Data collection is going well. We've measured the enemy's presence. And so on, each of them was doing their assigned roles appropriately. Vega's team cleared the traps one after another. At first glance, it may seem meaningless, but in fact, it has an important meaning. Benimaru, who had heard their conversation, had decided not to give Vega any prey. Therefore, he led them into a trap, so that they would not encounter the monster as much as possible. Finally, Vega's group breaks through the 50th level. Incidentally, Mezzer and Gozer, the bosses of the 50th level, have already evacuated just in case. Even if they are eaten by Vega, it is not certain whether they can revive or not, and it would be too risky a gamble. As Dino has shown, it is possible to revive them completely as long as they have souls. However, there was no way to know what would happen in the case of being eaten alive. The myth of the safety of the labyrinth might collapse again, so they took a safety measure. Still, there was an unexpected way to attack the labyrinth. Dino did a very good job of exposing Vega's plan in advance. Thus, the boss's room was breached without incident. What awaited us was a well-prepared and ready arsenal of state-of-the-art scientific weapons. Since the Guardian was absent on many floors, Rimuru was hurriedly redecorating the labyrinth structure. The numerous traps were also meant to buy time. And so, the real work was about to begin. It started, hasn't it? Yes. Everything is going as planned. Rimuru nodded at Benimaru's muttering. Rimuru posed on the desk with her hands crossed and her chin resting on her chin meaningfully. She nodded to Benimaru's words and smiled meaningfully as if she said it was the atmosphere that mattered. Stop playing around and get to work. Folding up the fan in her hand, Shuna slapped Benimaru on the head. Ow. You folded it, it hurts. Don't you have any kindness for your beloved brother? Benimaru laments that Shuna does not understand the sense of fun. But Shuna does not care. There is no such thing. I understand that you are trying to ease your anxiety from Rimuru-sama's absence, but please stop playing with yourself like that and be serious. She cut him off in a single blow. In defense of Shuna, there was a person who put words in his mouth. It was Beretta. Shuna-sama is right, this is a time of emergency. If you don't stop this, I'll report you when Rimuru-sama comes back. Rimuru panicked when Beretta sharply interrupted her. Hey, what are you talking about? I'm serious. The suggestive gesture was instantly blown away, and she started to make excuses in a panic. Benimaru, you too. Now is not the time to be playing around, but be aware that this is a battle you cannot afford to lose. Saoi reminded him of this, and Benimaru nodded his head. I understand. But a commander needs to be relaxed. Yes, that's right. We wanted to make everyone feel at ease, so we were showing them a relaxed attitude. Rimuru joined in on Benimaru's excuse. Benimaru thinks that it is difficult to imitate Rimuru. Rimuru would have reassured everyone with his aloof attitude, no matter what kind of danger was approaching. If Benimaru tries to do the same thing, the result will be as bad as it is now. He tried to play along with Rimuru, and showed an air of composure, but all he did was offend the serious ones. Rimuru has been complaining that Rimuru would never get angry at her just for a little bit of fun, but it's time to move on. It is time for them to stop trying to imitate Rimuru, because Rimuru is not in the same league as Rimuru. Then, Benimaru should just reassure everyone in his own way. Benimaru and Rimuru crossed their eyes and shared their innermost thoughts with each other. They changed their minds and give orders to deal with Vega and the others. As a matter of fact, the situation was proceeding as expected. Benimaru asks. So, what is the enemy's presence value? One of the operators answered. This black-haired girl here has a presence value of 1,660,000. The bow she is carrying is of a mythical grade equivalent of 1 million, so her total is 2,660,000. The 24 Dryas-Doll Dryads are now doing their part without waiting for Beretta's instructions. They quickly operate their desk panel and switch the screen display. A girl with black hair tied in a ponytail appears on the monitor. Her eyes are sharp and slit, and her cherry-red lips are set in a tight line. The name of this serious-looking girl is Mai Furuki. Mai's weapon is a crescent bow created by Oria. It disappeared once after Oria's death, but was reproduced when Vega inherited multiple weapons. It was lent to Vega as it was. This woman was a transferee, wasn't she? Theoretically, we should destroy her first. I don't think we can. I think she can escape from my labyrinth. Rimuru said, isolation is meaningless. She's a threat, but killing her is the last thing we need. Why? Because Rimuru-sama won't like it. Benimaru answered to the wondering Rimuru. Everyone agreed with him. Mai was apparently from the same town as Rimuru, and she was still a child. There is no doubt that she is under Feldway's control, even if she is acting of her own will. The only time they would kill her would be when they had no other choice. Rimuru herself did not want to kill her. Therefore, they're in favor of Benimaru's decision. However, it was too much for her to admit frankly, so she forced herself to make a stern face and plunged into the discussion. "You're surprisingly generous, aren't you?" Benimaru and the others knew what Rimuru was thinking. With a wry smile, he answered. "Of course. When a commander loses his composure, it is a lost battle." Thanks to Benimaru's reply, everyone has a margin to spare. As a result, the atmosphere in the control room became calm. Next, Pico appeared on the monitor. This girl here. She was not a girl in terms of age, but her appearance was enough to proceed the story. She is the one who fought with us, isn't she? I think her name is Pico. Kumar, who was waiting on the lower floor, said in a voice. Kumar's eyes were glazed as if she was eager for a rematch. The conversation was recorded. The individual must be Pico. The operator continued to disclose the information of Pico. She had a presence value of 1,890,000 and possessed a mythical grade spear trident. In total, her existence value was 2.89 million. This one is also a formidable foe. Benimaru-sama, I hope you let us deal with her. I'll think about it. Benimaru said that it was still too early to make a decision, and he put Kumar's proposal on hold without hesitation. Next, Gracia was shown. That's the girl I was with. She was not serious at all, but she was a pretty good fighter. Geld said. Benimaru thought that he wanted to fight again, but he wanted him to heal himself first. The wound itself was healed, but Geld's fatigue was not in such a state that it could be healed so easily. It seemed that he had been distributing the damage he had taken with his power to his companions, but he had given it back to them at the end of the battle. The burden on Geld was quite heavy. It would have been a suicidal act for him to go onto the battlefield in such a situation. Nevertheless, Benimaru understands Geld's feelings. He himself had not fully recovered from the exhaustion caused by the previous battle, but he was eager to take the lead in the battle. He wants to relieve his anxiety about Rimuru's absence by fighting. However, now was the time to take one action at a time. Benimaru decided that it was too early to put Geld on the battlefield. Anyway, he turned his attention to Gracia's figures. Individual is Gracia, with an existence value of 2,440,000, carrying a mythical grade one-handed longsword and a round shield. In total, Gracia's existence value is 4,440,000. As this figure shows, the existence value is not just a matter of being large. If they want to increase only the number, they should possess more weapons. However, such an imitation does not lead directly to strength. In the first place, the number of mythical grade weapons is small, and it is meaningless if you cannot master them. In the case of Gracia, they guessed that she could pull out the maximum performance, so she is a strong opponent for sure. Well, what should we do? Thinking so, Benimaru turns his eyes to the next information.